So recently I've noticed a trend of League of Legends players actually trying out World of Warcraft. And you know what? It's so funny because I used to be a League of Legends player. Oh man, these were probably the two worst years of my life. I played starting season 3 and man, I never looked back. Thank God for that. The only thing that became of me after that was I became a Dota 2 player for 7 years, and that was even worse. But regardless, this man right here apparently paid attention to it as well. I really want to hear what he has to say about this.
Recently, I've noticed a fascinating trend going on in the world of PC gaming. All the League of Legends players have started playing WoW. We're talking streamers, YouTubers, esports pros. I myself have fallen down this pipeline in recent months to a point where I'm dangerously close to transitioning into just becoming a full-time WoW creator. And my experience falling down this rabbit
Man, it happens to everyone, doesn't it? It's beautiful to see, man. You say to yourself, I'm only going to play Warcraft, and you're hooked, baby. That's it. Your life is now over. Enjoy. By the way, the moment you reach retail, yeah, you're gonna suffer, my boy.
Has got me asking lately, why? Why do League players keep finding themselves interested in WoW?
Because they can't touch grass, so they do the second thing that is actually close to it.
Where does this trend come from, and why does this pipeline only seem to go one way? I think the answer has a lot to do with a certain kind of soul sickness people have been feeling with modern multiplayer games lately, so we're gonna dive deep on all that in this video. So what exactly am I talking about here? The League of Legends to WoW pipeline. What is that? Well, over the past half-decade or so, there have been a significant number of figureheads in the League scene crossing communities to at least try out World of Warcraft. We've had all kinds of content creators like Tyler1, Rav, and Uber Danger who've all...
Oh, dude, I love Rav's videos so much, but every time I react to a single video of his, YouTube wants to take down my channel because he uses so much copyrighted material. So instead of like editing a million portions of his video, I just decided not to react to them, and I just watch them on my spare time. I replay them so much. They're so good.
Made various series in classic WoW. There have also been plenty of League pros dipping their toes into the game. We famously had Wonder pick up a fine when he was caught playing classic a few years back, I think on an LEC broadcast, where his esports team then issued a statement saying, "Thanks, Riot, we finally have a justifiable reason to uninstall this from his PC." Perhaps the biggest example of this, though, was none other than the YouTuber formerly known as Kiori, where after being a prolific creator in the League scene for years, she then went on to create arguably the most celebrated and well-known WoW series on all of YouTube. And as I said in the intro...
Oh, these videos were so great. I still need to complete the last two because I waited so long for them to drop, and it took so long for them to actually arrive. I end up just forgetting about them because Classic was over at this point. I think we were in TBC. Damn, I really need to watch these. Maybe I'll watch it with you guys. If you want to see a reaction of that, like, that would be, you know, it would be like a couple of years late, but I think it would be worth it. Maybe that's a good idea for our next video.
I have been sucked down this pipeline as well. After playing League for over a decade, recently I've been making a bunch of videos on the Warcraft universe. And don't worry, I have seen all of your comments. I'm about to do a full 1 to 60 series in Classic Era on my Warrior, probably making more content about WoW once that's done, because I really like this game. On the surface, it might make sense that there is some cross-pollination between these communities because League of Legends and WoW do share plenty of qualities. After all, these two are both live service games with an emphasis on quick, high-stakes multiplayer.
And they literally share the same ancestor, which is Defense of the Ancient, which is a Warcraft 3 mod. So, obviously, there are similarities.
Their action, each becoming super popular in the 2000s and early 2010s. They both have communities that also love to complain about the developers that run their respective titles. And both of these games even have origins in what might be the greatest PC game of all time, Warcraft 3. But I think the biggest similarity that these games have is that these are, in my opinion, two of the last great keyboard games on the market today. Generally, when I think about online multiplayer...
Oh man, come on. Nobody mentions Dota 2. Give them a chance, okay? At least give Dota 2 a chance. I know that the game is super bloated right now, and I quit it because of this as well. Or maybe because I just, you know, had it with the European servers. It just, it got the best of me. But you know, give it a chance. Come on, at least include it. Give it an honorable mention.
Player PC titles, I like to group most into one of two categories. You have your keyboard games and you have your mouse games. A mouse game, for example, would be something like a first-person shooter, where you might be using the keyboard to strafe through the map in Counter-Strike, but the primary action you're focused on is aiming and shooting with your mouse. That's the big goal, and where a player will put their focus if they're trying to improve their skill. A keyboard game, by comparison, would be any game that primarily focuses on using hotkeys instead. That would mean games like StarCraft, where you might use a mouse to highlight and move units around, but the majority of a player's focus should be on building a base, raising an army.
That is such a bad example. StarCraft 2 literally is the game with the most clicks per second. Right? I'm not mistaken about that. You can check me on that. I'm pretty sure I'm not mistaken. It's the game with the most clicks per second. Clicks per minute, sorry. I forgot how it's called. It's insane. Like, if you watch StarCraft 2 tournaments back in the day, you know, like, these people aren't, like, they aren't joking around, okay? They actually, like, abuse their mouse. Their mouse pad is literally on fire. There are, like, marks on their mouse pads. It's insane.
As well as activating upgrades and skills, all of which are done through keybinds. You technically can use a mouse to click abilities and actions on the UI, but if you do that, the people who play these sorts of titles regularly will make fun of you and call you a clicker until you stop. Obviously, there are great titles and genres that exist in both of these two categories, and different people just prefer different types of games, but personally speaking, I love a good keyboard game. That was one of the reasons I'd always personally wanted to try out World of Warcraft, and one of the great selling points of WoW that I don't think Blizzard even realizes they have. Keyboard games by and large have been on a decline the past 2 decades or so, with MOBAs, RTS, and MMO communities always claiming that their genres are perpetually dying. Personally speaking,
well, it is true for MOBAs. It's 100% true for MOBAs. I remember when League of Legends and Dota 2 were the only 2 MOBAs around, and nobody really, you know, a lot of people played them, but it wasn't like the main thing, and then suddenly it blew up out of absolutely nowhere, and everyone wanted to play a MOBA game. So many companies just try to, you know, play on that craze, just like they did with Battle Royale and PUBG that started this entire shenanigans, which, you know, was the birth of Fortnite. But regardless, I digress here. Yeah, everyone were in on the MOBA craze, and every single company wanted to create a MOBA game. None survived except for Smite, like literally no game. It's so funny to see. Literally nothing.
While I've played a lot of RTS and MOBA titles over the years, I had never played many tab targeting MMOs, at least not since I got into Blade and Soul back when that game was big. The MMOs I've sunk most of my time into were actually more...
It was horrible, bro. I played that game. It was actually disgusting.
Mouse-based like RuneScape, and as I started playing WoW, I was frankly a bit overwhelmed. The classic version of the game can feel overwhelming with all the item stats, abilities, and systems that you need to learn as a new player, while the retail version of the game is overwhelming for a whole host of other reasons that could fill a standalone video.
I don't know.
It was very painful for WoW players to watch my first steps into those games because I was probably getting lost and doing all kinds of things wrong with how much I didn't know, but even so, I was still hooked. The great keybind gameplay here is unbelievably satisfying and something that I genuinely feel addicted to. Seriously, be prepared for more WoW content. I kind of thought that this was the big reason that League players kept on trying WoW. Since there are only so many great keyboard games left, and WoW has been such a tentpole of the category for so long, League players were bound to find their way to Warcraft sooner or later. Except there's one problem with this. If it were just a matter of these both being 2 great keyboard games, there would probably have been an exodus of WoW creators moving to the League space too. To my knowledge, that's never really happened. This is a pipeline that appears to only go one way, meaning that WoW must have something that League lacks. And it wasn't until I started playing WoW, sinking tons of hours into the game myself, that I started to finally realize what it was that hooks so many of us. When you log in to World of Warcraft, you are always logging into a place and never a menu.
Interesting point. Explain. God
There's
damn,
this
look
idea
how
you may
beautiful
have heard
this game
before
is.
where people will say nowadays that we need more third places in the world. Everyone has a first place, their home, where they sit, relax, eat, sleep, and rest, spending the majority of their day. And most people also have a second place, either work or school, which serves as their primary reason for leaving home to go off and put effort towards something. But if all you ever do in life is shuttle yourself from home to work, back and forth, over and over, that's how you end up depressed. It's become a common understanding in recent years that people need a third place where they can go and spend time among their community in a new sort of setting to be healthy. That could be a gym where you go and get into the meditative trance of working out around others, or it could be a park or library where you relax and read a book in a social setting. But having those third places where you can decompress and let go of the stresses of constantly bouncing between work and recovery over and over, that's key to having a kind of fulfilling life. But here's the thing, that's how so many online multiplayer games today operate. When I get into the cycle of grinding solo queue in League, I only ever get to experience one of two things: playing the game and sitting in menus. So much of my time
and getting an aneurysm. Yeah, that's the third part. He forgot about that. It's okay, I corrected him.
in particular is spent sitting in menus. I'm setting my talents in menus, building item sets in menus, buying skins, unlocking champions, or doing anything that's not gameplay.
God damn, what happened to the game, bro? That's not how I remember it. Jesus, man, I'm old, guys. I don't know. The last champion when I quit the game was Echo. He was the newest one, as far as I remember. And it's so crazy because I don't know how long it was. I don't even remember, man. Like, I don't know all these new characters and the skins. I mean, I understand. I mean, I do know some of them. Like, this Shaka, right? This is Cho'Gath, right? I'm pretty sure about that because I'm pretty well versed in the Runeterra lore because I'm heavily invested because of Legends of Runeterra, the card game Riot created. Well, rest in peace, by the way. Yeah, it was such a fantastic game. I actually built this very channel on top of it. The good old days.
And just preparing for a match, that's all done in menus. Ironically, the better you get at this game, the more time you have to spend sitting in menus, with how long queue times can be at higher ratings. It gets to a point that these menus kind of become my first place, my home, where I am meant to recover from work. And work, the second place, that's obviously solo queue. What is solo queue if not work, after all? Solo queue is where I'm spending my time exerting effort and stressing out over getting a job done, either feeling joy when I succeed or depression when I fail. Solo queue is also like a job in that it is the primary reason I ever leave my first place to go out and exert effort towards goals that I want to achieve. But that's all I have, those two states of being. I'm either experiencing the work of playing the game or the recovery of finishing off a match and queuing up for another. There is no third place. World of Warcraft, by comparison, has shocked me in how much more excited I am to log into this game because this whole universe is basically a third place. If I'm playing Classic, whether I want to run a dungeon or do some leveling or even just sell items at the auction house, I always need to be in a physical part of the world to do it around other players, which kind of creates this sense of community the way that third places do. Even in retail, which I'm trying to give another shot because retail players keep telling me this version of the game gets really good eventually.
Of course they do. Of course they do, brother. They lie through their teeth. I'm playing retail right now. Ain't nobody having fun, brother. But to be fair, I'm only doing the first parts. I still need to hit the expansion where everyone claims that this is where the fun begins. Trust me, all that comes before that is just bogus and just reach midnight. Oh, I know. The moment I reach midnight, it's going to suck balls. I've watched other people do it. I know what's coming. It looks so ass. And oh man, the reason I even purchased Midnight after 8 years of not touching the game since BFA was to prove retail Andes once and for all that this game sucks. And I actually need to have fair ground to criticize it because I'm criticizing the game a lot. And I do want to be fair. I do want to be fair whenever I criticize something. So I really wanted to get some hands-on experience with the current expansion. But I just know it's going to suck. But I have to do it. Like, I have to do it. It is what it is.
Even in retail, where you do have a solo queue option to play PvP arenas, battlegrounds, and run dungeons through the Dungeon Finder, when you queue for something, playing, you are still waiting for the queue to pop in the world. World of Warcraft is a game where even if you're just waiting around for something to happen, waiting still happens in the world among the community. And there is something about this that is so much nicer than sifting through menus. Like, at the risk of being a bit cringe, this whole experience of having third places to get lost in around others, this is one of the best reminders to me that life isn't about efficiency. Human beings aren't meant to just shuttle themselves from home to work, back and forth, over and over, only ever using time off the clock to recharge and prepare yourself so you'll be a better task doer at your job tomorrow. That's not the point of life. Life is about literally touching grass. It's about those moments in between tasks where you take the time.
What are you talking about? What the hell? Remove that video right now. How dare you say that? But yeah, exactly what he's saying. And it's so funny because using this analogy just really shows why I hate retail and why I think retail is like failing at being an actual good game, because it feels like a job. It doesn't even feel like you're playing a game. It just feels like you have so many meaningless tasks that makes absolutely no sense, and 90% of them are going to be relevant the next patch anyway. So it's so ephemeral. I don't even know why anyone would subscribe to that. I honestly don't.
Time to do something like go out and walk your dog on a cool autumn day. Moments where you decide to inefficiently waste an afternoon by going fishing with a family member or friend, letting your conversations and minds wander, daydreaming about whatever you'd like. Those moments in between the hustle and bustle of life are surprisingly essential to not losing your mind in the world. Like, why did you think I had a whole year-plus arc on my channel where I went out and filmed a million League of Legends vlogs out at my local parks? You think I did that for fun? I can assure you, lugging all of my camera gear out to the middle of nowhere just to have people stop and stare at me while I ranted about League esports for hours, that was not exactly fun. I did that because the simple act of being out in nature, slowly walking along a hiking trail, even if it's just for a short moment between two takes, that was enough to make me feel a kind of peace and joy I've never found anywhere else. The more you can sprinkle these third places into your daily life, the more fulfilling life can truly feel. And what I'm describing here is basically all of World of Warcraft. What is Azeroth? But
man, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I envy people who live next to places such as this, because I love like quiet places. And whenever I see something like that, I know I would go for a walk there like almost every single day. I mean, if you do this here where I live, you're probably going to get jumped. Okay? I'm not gonna lie to you. I probably someone would wait for you here and your money's gone. You better not carry any wallet. Or maybe you should, because otherwise something even worse could happen. But yeah, I really envy people who has places like this they can actually walk.
What I'm describing here is basically all of World of Warcraft. What is Azeroth but a big park with hiking trails that lead you from one activity to the next, but where you're always free to take the time to stop and enjoy the beautiful scenery. This whole universe is just a huge shared third place where you can always let your mind wander, noticing other players' cool armor or mounts, imagining what else you might want to do next in game. You're never stuck, locked into the two-pronged cycle of a job. Even when you're doing a queue-based activity, you're never taken out of the world when waiting around. You are always free to inefficiently waste your time by getting distracted from other players' activities or just taking the time to appreciate the gorgeous landscape. It's a breath of fresh air in every sense of the phrase compared to the queuing system that I have been so used to in League of Legends and so many other games. And you know, I'm not saying that League of Legends would be better if we had a gigantic empty room that every player had to jump around in while waiting for a match in solo queue. It's not just the space that's important, but I do think that having a third option where you can take a break from the work and recovery, I think that is important. And frankly, I think that might be why League players keep inventing new game modes in custom games, from all random all mid lobbies on Summoner's Rift to hide and seek on Dominion back in the day. When you are stuck experiencing the cycle of monotony and depression found in the job of solo queue, I don't know, I think that's the big reason why we get so miserable when playing queue-based multiplayer games. I don't believe that Blizzard intentionally were considering this kind of third place idea when designing their systems for WoW. I kind of think a lot of what I'm talking about here probably just comes about as an accident when you make something as social as an MMO. But
I think they kind of did, right? I think they did that on purpose because every single WoW developer used to be EverQuest gamer. We know that most of them and the most like leading figures at Blizzard back in the good old days when the game didn't even launch, they were working on this game with like EverQuest mentality. I know they were all big EverQuest players, and they did want this, you know, home world feeling to be transferred into World of Warcraft, right? Like they wanted that. They wanted the EverQuest feeling of being out in the open, essentially, but inside of the game, in the comfort of your home. They wanted that. So I actually think he's kind of wrong about that.
I do think that's the reason that WoW has hooked me so hard, to a point that I don't think I could quit this game if I wanted to, and it's probably why so many other League players keep feeling the gravitational pull of this game. Because like League of Legends, this is a really fun keyboard game with all the quick action and depth of strategy you would expect from a great game in this genre, but unlike other keyboard games, WoW can also be the ultimate third place, where if you ever get overwhelmed by all the tasks you're given or the complexity found in game, you're always free to take a breath and stop to smell the proverbial roses. Maybe what I'm saying with this whole video is just, Riot, please actually finish your MMO. Make your MMO and then let me queue up for League matches through the MMO so I can earn mounts and armor and titles for my character in the MMO through the League grind. I mean, that would be the dream. Or just, it would also be really cool if you actually finished making that MMO and released it in my lifetime. But
surely 5 years from now, guys, I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Don't worry. I know. I have insider knowledge. Keck L. No, I mean, oh my god, I think so many people are banking on a Riot MMO, especially now when we see all of these MMO dying around us. Everyone wants Riot MMO. And the craziest thing is, the story is already there. You just really need to build the MMO around it. But unfortunately, I think it would mostly cater to Eastern players because we know who Riot Games is, like, you know, owned by. And at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? They gotta shoot for the stars. They gotta go for where the money is. And Eastern gamers just really love dropping cash from microtransactions. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna make an MMO that caters to them with like tons of subscriptions and all of that, and it's just going to suck. That's why I don't really bank on Riot MMO. I'm going to obviously watch out for it because why not, but at the same time, I'm not really that excited for it. I think it's not going to be good, but again, only time will tell. It can really go either way. We just have to wait and see for ourselves.
Until that's done, I'm really glad that I started playing World of Warcraft, and I'm excited to keep making more videos on this super fun game. My next video will likely be the next episode of my classic WoW 1 to 60 playthrough. You guys all enjoyed the first video on Classic
I'll be waiting.
So much after all that I gotta turn it into a real series. Subscribe if you would like to be notified when that goes live, or you could go back and watch.
Already am. Great video. Seems to be the end of it. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. You guys should like and subscribe to this man because he truly makes some of the best content out there. He became one of my most favorite content creator of recent. Like, he's such a phenomenal content creator. I really love watching his stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right about World of Warcraft being that place to soothe your mind. And it's like 100% true. I understand why League of Legends players, after all of this stress from solo queuing and like jumping from this wretched pool of miasma into a game where they can finally chill. I'm talking about Classic WoW, not retail, God forbid. I don't think anyone is chilling in retail. But in Classic World of Warcraft, and just allow themselves to mellow down and actually have some fun, relaxing time. I think that's the best thing that can happen to them. And that's why we see so many League of Legends, like, prominent figures actually jumping into World of Warcraft. I mean, I completely understand why. It's just such a phenomenal game, and I never would be tired of watching new people trying Classic World of Warcraft. Literally never.